Back here with Afternoon Agenda, more now on one of our top stories. The budget airline Bonza has abruptly cancelled all flights, leaving passengers stranded at airports around the country. Joining me live in the studio is the aviation expert Geoffrey Thomas. Jeff, good to see you. Yeah. Is this the end for Bonza?
Look, it looks as though it might be. They're talking about reviewing their business model, but there's a bit more than that behind it. We do now know that the ownership on those 4 aircraft changed overnight, changed yesterday. That's why the aircraft aren't flying today. Their problems appear to be US-centric. Their original backer, 777 Partners, they had an airline called Flair in Canada. Bonza was their second. And in 2022, going into 2023, they were planning to launch 3 more airlines using the same business model. That never happened. And we do know there's been some issues in the United States on the financial side. And it would appear as though the leases have been transferred from the backers or the 777 Partners to another entity. And that entity has taken action overnight.
Pretty poor form to have passengers turning up at the airport today only to be told that these planes won't be flying. What now for passengers who have tickets at the airline? Well,
that's a very good question. Do they have insurance? What protections are in place for them? We don't know. That's the state. Some folks could be unsecured creditors. It's early days yet to know exactly how this is all going to play out. Tim Jordan, the CEO, said they're looking at their business model before proceeding. That's the sort of messaging. But the reality is, once you pull the plug, which is now being done, then regaining support from passengers in the future will be almost impossible.
Why is it so hard for smaller airlines to exist successfully in Australia? We've seen so many come and go over the years.
We have. Well, aviation's not known as a profitable industry. In all the years since 1919, when the first passenger got onto an aeroplane, the aviation industry has never made any money. Collective over all those years, never made some money. They've had some good years, but lots of terrible years. And of course, COVID just devastated the industry. 86 airlines went bankrupt through COVID. But leaving that aside, that's an aberration. Leaving that aside, the airline industry still has made no money over the whole time. It's a very, very tough industry, and everybody thinks it's glamorous. Everybody thinks it's profitable because the image is first class, Dom Perignon, Krug, business class, beds, first class. That's the image. The reality is the back row of Jetstar. That really is the reality. It's a very tough business to make money out of. But in the case of Bonza, we've talked about it a number of times. The business model is fine. Joining the dots that aren't joined. It's been proven in America, it's been proven in Europe. That model works. Their problems have been external with their backers, and that's another big question mark.
Sounds like another short-lived experiment. Look, I did want to ask you about another story in the news today, and this is about a Finnish airline, Finnair. Yeah. They had to suspend flights due to GPS signal interference. This is called jamming, isn't it?
Yes.
Russia's being blamed. What's gone on here?
Well, GPS jamming is going on in various areas of the world, and this particular situation with Finnair related to going to a particular airport where they required GPS positioning to land. So that was a particular issue for that airport. They'll work out another way of doing it, but it's not good. It's a very dangerous thing to do, extremely dangerous thing to do. But mind you, in that part of the world at the moment, we're seeing lots of very dangerous things.
Okay. Yeah, sounds terrible. Hopefully that won't spread. Assume that GPS is a little bit...
well, most aircraft now are using satellite navigation. Like flying into Queenstown, New Zealand. They lock onto 6 satellites, and the precision there is 1 metre. Accuracy of 1 metre.
Wow.
So that's fantastic.
Geoff Thomas, always appreciate your analysis. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.